Hey y'all, I am Michelle Mazelleغ. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be recording today's video with a voiceover. I am currently visiting family and I do not have the necessary equipment right now to be recording a video, so probably the next couple of videos will be voiceover videos until I get what I need to be able to effectively record. And it has been a while since I have uploaded any type of video with just so much stuff going on, so I did not want to not have continuous content going on due to me just not having equipment. So this is what I'm able to do right now. So with all of that being said, let us get on into today's video. So I know that some of you all might have seen this situation that happened with the Nigeria's first lady a couple of weeks ago. And for my viewers and my subscribers, y'all do know that majority of my content does center around Ghana and also the relationship between African Americans and people on the African continent. But I definitely was drawn to this situation because African Americans kind of put themselves into this whole situation, and I didn't really understand where we were fitting in or why we felt like this situation had anything to do with African Americans. So to give you all a backstory, in case you don't know the whole scenario, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle traveled to Nigeria. Again, this happened a couple of weeks ago, and Meghan Markle just took a DNA test and found out that she had Nigerian lineage in her DNA. I'm not for sure if that was the reason for the travel to Nigeria. I don't think it was. I think they were visiting a charity there, but in the course of they're going on this visit, she took a DNA test and found some percentage of Nigerian in her DNA. Now, as you all know, Britain has not been happy with Meghan Markle ever since she married Prince Harry. I mean, that's not a secret, and we all know why. And so anything that they do, whether it is something that is, seen by us to be a good thing, a positive thing, Britain is always going to turn it into something else. They're always going to find a negative in it. They're always going to find a way to criticize Meghan. And this was no exception to that rule. Shortly after Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's visit to Nigeria, the First Lady of Nigeria gave this speech to the young women of Nigeria, and this is what she had to say.
The message here is we have to salvage our children. We see the way they dress. They keep forgetting that Nigeria, we are beautiful. The moment you can see what they showcase on the stage, I said we are fashionable. We see what is going on. We are not having a Met Gala. And everyone, their nakedness is just everywhere. And the men are well clothed. So we have to do something. Tell them the way it is. We don't accept nakedness in our culture. That is not beautiful. It's not beautiful at all. And they're all beautiful girls. But they should be confident to know they are. They don't want to be like, even they are mimicking and trying to emulate film stars from America. They don't know where they come from. Why did Meghan come here looking for Africa? That is something we have to take home with. We know who we are, and don't lose who you are.
Now, one would think after that speech that she was talking directly to the young women of Nigeria. She was not talking to anybody else. She was pretty much giving them a message about who they are and who they need to know that they are, and that they need not to be ashamed of Nigeria, need not to be ashamed of being a Nigerian, and that would have been that. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there are people who do not like the fact that there is so much publicity and positive publicity going on with these countries of Africa, they are finding whatever way they can to bring as much negativity to whatever's going on in the continent of Africa. So any positive thing that should be positive, people are literally turning these things around so that people can continue to look at the African continent in a very negative way. So shortly after the First Lady made this speech, there was a YouTuber, and I don't know who the YouTuber was, but they, for whatever reason, decided to say that the First Lady was criticizing Meghan Markle. And before you know it, it was literally all over the news. It went viral. And everybody was saying, she didn't like Meghan, and she, was criticizing Meghan. She was talking about Meghan. Of course, that kind of plays into the whole Britain situation, or the relationship that Britain has with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, because they don't like this couple at all. And so they definitely went and ran with it, because they didn't want them there in the first place. And then to know that they also dislike, they also felt like that the Nigerian First Lady didn't like Meghan. I mean, that really played into their whole dislike of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And so you had all of these things kind of playing itself out on social media like it always does. But that's not really my issue. Okay, if it would have just stuck with Britain, and they would have had their criticizing negative reaction to what they thought was a criticism that the First Lady of Nigeria had against Meghan Markle, then I would not be doing this video, would not even be talking about this, because it does not go into my content. But then shortly after, a couple of YouTubers decided to do a video, and these type of headlines start to pop up onto the YouTube screen. The First Lady of Nigeria gives a backhanded comment to Black Americans while slamming Meghan Markle, and the First Lady of Nigeria comes from Black Americans. First and foremost, Meghan Markle has never identified as an African American. She's never identified as a Black American. She's never identified as Black, period. It wasn't until she did a podcast with Mariah Carey a year ago, whatever, when she was having her podcast, and I don't know if she still has her podcast, but when she did an interview with Mariah Carey, she said that she never focused on race until she married Prince Harry. And that's when she realized that she was Black. Before then, she didn't really identify as Black. She knew her mother was Black, but when she looked in the mirror, that's not really what she saw. And so she did not really identify as such. And it wasn't until she got into the royal family that Britain wanted to remind her exactly who she was. And so then all of a sudden, she realized, oh, okay, I've got some black in me. Before then, she did not do that. So since that's the case, I'm not sure why there are some African Americans literally trying to go hard on the First Lady of Nigeria over a woman who has never identified as Black. She's never identified. That's one thing. The second thing, the First Lady of Nigeria never said anything negatively about African Americans. She never said anything negatively about Black Americans, if that's what you want to label yourself. She did not say anything about Black people at all. The only thing that she said is that they're coming here to find out who they are. She's specifically talking about Meghan, because Meghan took the DNA test, and she also, not only did they go visit Nigeria, I think for a charity, but for her also to connect to her roots of Nigeria. And there are some African Americans who will tell you that they don't feel like they are complete because they want to be able to go back and connect to the roots of the African continent. So there are some African Americans who feel like they don't really know who they are until they're able to take that DNA test, until they're able to see what their African lineage is coming from, and then they're able to actually go to these countries of Africa, or go to that country of Africa and connect to the culture and to the people and to the land. So you do have some African Americans who feel exactly that way, who feel like they do not know who they are. There are some Black Americans who don't want to be African Americans, who always seem to be butthurt when people are not talking about them. If you are not someone who feels like you have any connection to the African continent, you feel like that your lineage, your ancestry is in the United States of America, the types of situations when they're talking about Pan-Africanism, when people from the African continent are talking about African Americans wanting to know their identity and wanting to know their lineage and wanting to know completely who they are, they're not talking to you. And there are some African Americans, Black Americans, who want to insert themselves into the Pan-African idea when it is apparent they don't believe in it. So if you don't believe in Pan-Africanism, if you do not believe in the unification of Black people around the world, if you do not believe that you have any lineage to the African continent, why are you butthurt on a situation that you do not believe in? She's not talking to you. She wasn't talking to those African Americans or Black Americans. She wasn't talking to y'all. Honestly, I don't feel like that the First Lady of Nigeria, because she did have to come back and clarify her comments, which is something that people, the leaders of the African continent always have to do. They always have to clarify. They always have to make sure people understand what they mean. Mind you, again, she's talking to her people. So I don't see why she has to clarify anything. There's no need to clarify a comment that was not meant for the world that was not meant for the world. It was only meant for the select people that it was meant for. So why does a comment have to be clarified? Because the people that was not a part of that community misinterpreted what was said. Not the people that actually was in the community, but the people outside of the community that was misinterpreted. Now, if the Nigerians misinterpreted the message and they wanted to speak up and say, hey, that wasn't cool, then that's fine. They are the Nigerian community. They can do that. But when you have outsiders that's misinterpreted it, and then they feel like because they saw it in the way they wanted to see it, and now you have to clarify it to them so that they can feel better, that's what the problem is. It's important that in order for unity to be had between these two groups of people, that you really need to start listening. People need to start listening, and you really need to definitely need to stop jumping on the bandwagon, considering of who started this whole situation to begin with. You have to look at the source, because we all know how people feel about Meghan, how some people feel about Meghan, especially in Britain, how they really feel about Meghan. They have said it time and time again. So when you have somebody in an outlet that is talking negatively about Meghan in conjunction to the First Lady of Nigeria, you really have to say to yourself, all right, you all, that's all I have to say on that matter. I am MazelleghThank you all for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye.